Are you looking for predictions on who's going to win this weekend's 2020 Chicago Pro Bodybuilding Championships? Well, I'm going to talk about that in this video.
Ciao, homie.
Ciao, homie. I am my block's strongest man, and I help you create small goals that matter in whatever you do. On this channel, we exercise with everyday objects, talk bodybuilding and strength sports, and review my block's best gadgets. If you're new here, consider subscribing and clicking the bell button for all notifications of my upcoming videos that release every other day at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And at any point during this video, check out links in the description below where I list out everything that I've discussed in this video and how to get merchandise that helps us spread this message of small goals matter together, and tips like TubeBuddy to help supercharge your own channel. So on to today's topic. So the last qualifier for the 2020 Mr. Olympia, as I understand it, the 2020 Chicago Pro, is upon us. This weekend, coming up October 16th and 17th, Friday and Saturday, and we're going to focus on predictions for the Men's Open division. And so that list is right here in front of us, and I did hear on Nick Strength and Power yesterday, when I was listening, as I do every day to his show, that Max Charles was on this list, and I don't see him on the list, so maybe it's a timing thing where Max was on briefly and is no longer competing, but I don't see him on the latest list that I just refreshed from the webpage today. So we'll go ahead with the list now. And the other cool thing I noticed is that this is like associated with Kevin Levrone. So if you scroll up, it's a Kevin Levrone signature series event, which I loved watching him back in my youth, and really one of my favorite bodybuilders. So very cool to see his name associated with this. So we have Eddie Bracamontes from San Diego, Camilo Diaz from Colombia, and then most of the other guys here are all pretty much domestic, right? So you have Chris Domenico from Pennsylvania, Phil Clayhart from Florida, then you have Muhammad El Imam from Russia, but then everyone else, so Stephen Frazier and Johnny Jackson from Texas, Nawar Kaabi from Illinois, and then a few New Jersey boys, so Kyle Kervag, An Win from Nevada, Bolaji Ojx from California, Josue Plasencia from California, Eric Ramirez, also from New Jersey, Justin Rodriguez of the New York Pro fame, where he came in second and looked fantastic. He's from New York, New York, so probably a front runner here, I would say. Joe Seaman from Ontario, Mohammed Shaban from California, Sean Smith from Kentucky, Derek Upshaw Morgan from Massachusetts, Josh Wade from California, and Nick Walker, who recently got his pro card and has been looking fantastic in all of his updates recently, from Florida, Akeem Williams from New Jersey as well, and then Keith Williams from Kansas. So what I did was I joined Instagram purposely so I could get the latest photos, or at least try to get the latest photos that these guys have posted so we can give them a comparison. And I've kind of lined up my tabs in my browser in the order of starting from 22nd place all the way up to the top, so that we can have a coherent discussion here. So I have first Nawar Kaabi, and so I would have him in 22nd place. And of course, compared to normal people, all of these people look fantastic. Part of this is that he's really only giving us one pose, and it's not, kind of super flexed, and it's not one of the standard poses that you would do in competition. It's kind of close to a most muscular, but not really. And then everything else, he's kind of in a shirt. So I had him in 22nd place. Now, if you look at this photo, this is really freaking impressive, and he looks incredibly ripped and defined here. But if you look at the date on that one, that is July 9th. So some months ago, maybe preparing for some other event, and I don't know if he looks like that anymore. So I can only go by this one here. So next on the list, I had Bolaji Ojx, and I couldn't find an Instagram for him, but these are the images that we get on Google Images for him. And so, again, looks great, round shoulders, pretty well separated legs, but some of these photos are not, are not recent. And so if you compare, for example, here he looks great, but this is on stage. And so we're going to be comparing that to Instagram photos of guys who are a few days out still now, and it's not really a fair comparison. If you look at this one, for example, he's nowhere near as defined, but then again, that's way back in 2014, so, not a fair comparison. So I have him in 21st place, again, only because there aren't really great photos to rate him any higher. Derek Upshaw Morgan, I had the same issue with him, so just some Google photos, and really his legs don't, his quads don't look as separated in these photos. Again, I can't tell how recent these are, but the abdominals don't look that as defined either. They don't look as deep as some of the other guys. And so then moving on, who I had next was, and now we go back into the Instagram. So Eddie Monster Bracamontes, and he's looking pretty big in photos that I believe are fairly recent. So again, we'll click on one of these and have a look. So this says it's 4 days ago, right? And so he's looking big. We can see visible abdominals, some vascularity in the quads and especially in the calves. Those look kind of ridiculous, but not a lot of separation in the quads or striations there. So that's where I have them. And then kind of working our way next up the list would be Chris Domenico. And so really round shoulders, well-defined abdominals, round biceps as well. His upper back is lacking a lot of the detail that winners of competitions typically have, and although he has a really wide back lat spread, but in this photo you can see like his quads are not that large, and from the front they're not that well defined as well in terms of separation or striation. So that's where I have him, why I have him there. And then moving our way next up the list, we have Josh Wade. And so we can look at a few photos here. Again, Josh looks great for, when looking at him on his own. His quads do look fairly separated here. I don't see a lot of traps there. Not that he's flexing them there, but some guys, the competitors who do better typically will have more visible traps even when they're not trying to flaunt them. He looks great here at an on-stage photo, but again, we need to be comparing kind of this kitchen photo, right? If we're going to be comparing everyone in somewhat similar non-stage lighting. And so moving our way up the list, next I have Keith Williams. And so I would have had Keith higher up, honestly, but he is really covered in tattoos on his back, and I think that makes it hard to see definition sometimes, and so I think that might hurt him. Like otherwise, if you look at him from the front, he seems to have like large 4-pack of abs instead of 6-pack. Like they're larger and there's 4 of them. But other than that, like really good chest separation. His lats pop. He looks really good, but I think the tattooing might hurt him. So next up on our list, as we work our way up, I had Eric Ramirez. And so here's kind of a video that Eric Ramirez had a day ago or yesterday, and looking very vascular. And then the next one on our list, as we have up, and I don't want to dwell too long because we do have lots of guys to go through, I had Camilo Diaz from Colombia next. And so if we scroll down here, we can have a look at, so I would say he has shirts and pants on in various photos. This would be the one where he shows the most of his physique, and he's looking really good. That would be like a side tricep. I don't see a big horseshoe type shape there, but, overall his condition looks great, which is why I have him where I have him. And so moving up our list even further, we have Phil Clayhart. And so this was another tough one. He looks fantastic, but he's wearing shirts in all these pictures. His shoulders and his biceps look really great. He's very vascular, very round. And again, if I could see this guy without a shirt on, I might have him higher up, but very difficult to do so with the photos available. And so next on the list, we're kind of about halfway through. I had Johnny Jackson, and I didn't know this. I learned this from Nick Strength and Power, that Johnny Jackson is kind of a legend in the sport and has been around for quite a while. He looks fantastic in these pictures. Like if you want to, I'm not going to use the word old, but like if he's been competing for a long time and you do see a little gray in the beard, like look at this photo. He looks fantastic. He looks like a guy in his prime. Yeah, really, really good separation in the upper body. The abs are showing well. I see traps. His quads could use some more definition, and the striations aren't there yet. So that's kind of why I have him where I have him. And then if we continue up the list, I have Akeem Williams next, and he's from around here, from New Jersey. This guy just looks gigantic. So he doesn't look as defined as some of the other guys that I had lower on the list, but I mean, look at the size of these biceps. His back is huge. His lat spread is huge. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he can dry up and keep some of this size and, place around this area with that kind of physique that we're seeing, because he just looks so big and round. The peaks on his biceps are unbelievable. And and he's hitting a front double by, which is a required pose. So next I have Stephen Frazier, and again, I'm trying to ignore that on-stage photo so that we can compare photos from a few days out with everybody. And again, he's wearing tank tops in a lot of these, but look at this. Like, this is hella impressive. Just look at the definition in the arms and the forearms. Like, his forearms are huge here. So I had Frazier fitting in there. And then moving up on our list, we have Kyle Craver. This guy just looks like I look at him and he looks like he was kind of created in a CGI. Like, if you look at these photos, he just flows so well from muscle to muscle, and you can see the fibers in his shoulders, and this is what I was talking about earlier, big traps when he's not even trying to show them, large legs. You can start to see some striations in the quads, and very well-defined abs. And you look at him and you think, oh, like, this is a thin, ripped, in shape guy, and then he mentions he's like 255 in one of these videos, and I think, well then, this guy's got some good size. So I think he's going to do well, especially because we're moving up toward the top of our list now, and I have An Nguyen next, and he's really important because he's very high up in the point standings currently and could have an effect on whether Big Ramy makes it into the Olympia or not. And so I have him in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th place. And so we would have to do the math on whether that would get him enough points to adversely affect Ramy's chance to get in on points, given that he's not competing in the Chicago Pro and doesn't have a qualifier left to get into the Olympia. So then moving up the list, next I have Josh U. Placencia. And so I was like super impressed by this photo here. And this one as well. Again, this is an onstage photo, but his quads are incredibly separated here. He doesn't have a weak part in this picture, and he's not even doing a mandatory pose here. He just has his arms up in the air. So this one's he's just flexing in a parking lot, and he just looked really, really impressive. I would have had him even higher if I saw more mandatory posing, things that he's going to have to do during the show. But, I mean, look at these. This is just standing in the gym. So look at his legs separation, his biceps, his vascularity. He's like a top tier, what I would consider being like, now we're getting into the top tier competitors of this show. And so moving on up to what I would consider 6th place now for the upcoming 2020 Chicago Pro would be Siobhan. So he is... Let's get some photos here. And, like, this looks a lot like a Justin Rodriguez physique to me. I think is very similar, and that's why I think he'll do well, because Justin did very well in the New York Pro. This is the kind of balanced physique that I think does really well in these shows, and that's why I have him as high as I do. You can see here the roundness, the fullness, with still having great definition. And so moving on up to 5th place, I have Joe Seaman. So he's actually giving us lots of great poses. So here's kind of a crab most muscular. And if we look at that, just look, definition everywhere. His quads are big and well separated. His lower legs are as well. Big traps, huge shoulders, big vascular biceps. And again, he gives us multiple poses here where, he's got a big, pretty well-defined back. He may be able to suck down some water and get a little more definition in the upper back, but quads and calves both look great from the back. Good lat spread. Look at this tricep definition, unbelievable vascularity in the forearms. He just looks, again, he's a top, if he comes in this kind of condition, he's a top-tier guy in this show, if you ask me. And then we move into number 4, and I have, believe it or not, Justin Rodriguez in number 4. What made this tough is I had to go from this tiny picture and from memory of the New York Pro, because his Instagram is kind of, it's hidden, as you can see. His posts are hidden because the community has reported some content that doesn't meet Instagram community guidelines. So I kind of had to go from that picture and from memory, but I had him in 4th place. So 3rd, moving to our top 3, so podium finishers, I have Nick Walker coming in 3rd. And Nick Walker recently got his pro card and has been extremely impressive since then and has gotten his waist down from what appeared a little blocky in his last show, even since performing there. So he looks even better than he did before. Nick Walker is a beast. Like, just look at these photos. He looks like, I think he names himself the Mutant, and he's right. Like, he's a beast and a force to be contended with. Number 2. So who did I have above those two guys? And those two guys are really the front runners to win. So why did I pick people above them? Well, I'll show you the photos. So I had Elam Muhammad, and I mean, just look at this. Like, how can you vote against a physique like this? Just granite hardness, super separation in the quads, roundness, big traps, well-defined abdominals, extremely striated and big chest. There's nothing I can pick out of that physique that's wrong. Like, look at him here with two other guys. He dwarfs them and is simultaneously dwarfing them and out-defining them at the same time. Here's kind of a picture of him in the kitchen 4 days ago. And again, like, extremely looking incredible. And so who do I have as number 1? Well, I have Sean Smith as number 1, and it's because of, I mean, this photo doesn't look real. Like, this looks like a completely unattainable, like, I don't know how you beat this physique. He's vascular like garden hoses. He has, sinewy, fibrous muscle connections between the shoulders and the chest. Traps are huge. He's just sitting there. The guy's not even flexing, and he looks like a cartoon superhero. Here's a back shot. Again, like, that was before he flexed. Look at all the definition in his back before he even flexed. And now he's gonna do a pose which is even more impressive. Like, this guy looks otherworldly. So again, my podium finishers: Sean Smith 1, Elam Muhammad 2, Nick Walker 3. So that's what my eyes tell me from the latest photos that I've seen. If I had to tell you what my brain tells me, it would be that either Nick Walker or Justin Rodriguez will win the show, and the other one of those two will come in second, only because of what they have proven very recently in very recent shows. So, hopefully you found this interesting. Thanks again for joining me on my blog, Strongest Man. We'll check in. I'll do another video after the event to see how close I was on these predictions, and thanks for joining me on this journey. Comment below and tell me who you think's going to win. If you think I'm crazy and out of my mind, please comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And we'll be talking soon. Thanks again, and as always, ciao, homie.